Hello and welcome to KRWG Public Media's 2024 election coverage featuring New Mexico Senate District 28. KRWG Public Media and the League of Women Voters are pleased to present this forum. I'm Anthony Moreno. It's a pleasure to be with you. The rules for this forum are the candidate will have 90 seconds to answer each question and should not mention his opponent in his answer. My co-moderator for this forum is Elisa Sanchez with the League of Women Voters of Southern New Mexico. We welcome Democratic candidate Chris Ponce. KRWG invited Republican candidate Gabriel Ramos to join us, and he informed us he is unable to be here. Let's start with the first question. And it's a basic question. Why are you running for this seat?
Okay, thank you. And first I want to just let you guys know I thank you and I appreciate you for inviting me. And this is great. So the reason I'm running for Senate District 28 is because I want to uplift people. I think that going into the Senate, working for Southwest New Mexico and advocating for Southwest New Mexico is a great thing. I think we need to build more on our economy. I think we need to protect some of the jobs that we have. I also think we need to create jobs. We also have to take a hard look at education and help and support our educational system with doing that. You know, there's a lot of things here in Southwest New Mexico, especially in the rural areas. You know, you get into, you know, the education, you get into rural health care, you get into seniors, you know, our seniors, our veterans, you know, that they need help. Biggest thing is that I really want to be a strong advocate for them. I want to be able to build rapport with our senators, legislators, and be able to do the things that I think the people in Southwest New Mexico deserve. And I think I'm the candidate for that. And, you know, my biggest thing is being there for the people. That's what it's about to me. It's not about me. It's about our communities. It's about rural communities, and it's about the people. That's why I'm decided to run for Senate and be an advocate for everyone.
Thank you.
If elected, what are your highest priorities?
If elected, my highest priorities, I mean, there's a few of them, but one of my highest priorities, again, is sort of why I'm running for this, is our economy. You know, we need to keep a strong economy, especially in rural New Mexico or Southwest New Mexico, is protecting those jobs, bringing in, protecting the jobs we have, bringing in more jobs into our communities. Our education system, I mean, I really appreciate what the governor and legislators have done so far, but I think there needs more to be done in that area. It's been great that, you know, the teachers got pay raises and it's good, and I support that, and I think we still need to continue working on that. But I think our education right now needs a little bit more help with starting programs more in the middle school area, you know, developing after school programs, child care, child development. We need to continue doing that. Our seniors, you know, the rising health costs, when you live in rural New Mexico and you deal with some of our seniors, you know, some of them aren't fortunate enough that are able to travel, for example, to Las Cruces, Tucson, Albuquerque to get the treatment that they need. I think we need to help them. I think we need to watch the cost of health care and make sure it's affordable for them. Our senior programs, those are the things that we really need to concentrate with. Our veterans, law enforcement, crime. So I have quite a few priorities. And
okay, that is our time. We're going to move on to the next question. What state laws, if any, do you believe should be passed regarding firearm safety?
You know what, on the state laws being passed, I think that right now I'm just doing, when I'm doing my door-to-door and talking to people, I'm listening to a lot of the constituents out there in District 28, whether it be Hidalgo or Luna County or Grant County, you know, but at the end of the day, I think that I'm open to laws that are being passed to help fight crime, you know, to help with, you know, our drug crisis and all that. I can't sit here and tell you specifically exactly what laws need to be passed, but what I can tell you is that there has to be more accountability in these laws, and I'm open to working with our legislators and looking at what laws we need to pass and to keep our citizens safe and to keep them, you know, that's part of our life, is being safe and enjoying our communities. So to give you a specific law, I don't know exactly the specific, the specific laws, but I will advocate for some laws. I think the biggest thing is the accountability of enforcing those laws and helping support those laws when they do get passed.
Thank you.
With regard to that issue, what do you think the lawmakers should do to address violent crime and property crime in New Mexico?
Well, I think what needs to be done in violent crime, especially in violent crime, is, I know that a lot of people that I've been talking to and reaching out to and doing that is, a lot of people have the problem with the catch and release system. And I think that at the end of the day, should probably go to voters if we need to have a cash bond. Go back to the cash bond type, especially on the violent crimes. But if a violent offender does get released, I think we need to support our court systems and the monitoring with more funding, and so they're able to monitor them a little better in case they do not follow their conditions of release, that they do get put back in incarceration and till their trial date. But I think it's a perfect opportunity also for our professionals to look at why these people are committing these crimes and what support systems they can offer and give them, whether it be through the court systems to put them in programs to help them be productive citizens in our society. The other part, when it comes to the property crimes, people work really hard. Our economy right now, people are struggling with it. And property crimes, they come in and they put a lot of money into what they own and their properties, and for somebody just to come in here because they're bored or they have nothing else to do and do that, I think that needs to be focused on and paid attention to also.
Okay, we're moving on to our next question. What do you feel the state legislature can do to improve mental health services?
Well, I think one of the biggest things I think that needs to be done there is the funding. Looking at and talking about to some people in this area, and it also goes into healthcare, but it's the funding. Department of Health, New Mexico Finance Authority, they at the beginning of each session, they'll pass the budget. I think that some of these departments within the state need to be funded a little more. I think some when it comes to behavioral health, a number in my head right now, they should be given at least an extra $10-20 million to fund these programs, to be able to support what's there, because at the end of the day, by the time you start hitting December, January, a lot of those funds are expanded by these people because of the certain things that need to be done within New Mexico. I think an increase in funding and a lot of supporting staffing levels and coming up with the different ideas. It's hard. Rural New Mexico, what does our county or Grant County, Luna, or Hidalgo, these places are out of town. I think that there needs to be more of a regionalized behavioral health units and professionals to easier access those services for our people.
Thank you.
If elected, how do you plan on addressing substance abuse in New Mexico?
Substance abuse? Well, I think that we have right now. There's a lot of mechanisms in place. Not only with our law enforcement people, with our legislators, with our healthcare providers that deal with that. Can you tell me the question again? Sorry.
Substance abuse.
Substance abuse. What we can do, I think what we need to do is we need to get more into the field. I think we need to start looking around and talking to the people that are outside of the system, because those are the people that we worry most about. Is the substance abuse. Not everybody with substance abuse problems are hitting our court systems, where the court systems can refer them to the different type of programs. I think what we need to do is, again, and a lot of this goes into the funding, is we need to fund a little bit more money there so we can have not only our police officers that are out there talking to people, just to talk to them, not because something was done wrong, and to get an idea, trying to get them either convinced or referred to the professionals that deal with that. Because it's not, I'm not saying it's an easy thing to do. When somebody gets in trouble or somebody goes into the hospital for these problems, they get they have the avenues, but somebody just out on the public street or their families don't know where to turn. I think we need to educate people and publicize more where these people can turn and have advocates and even citizens doing that.
Okay, our next question. What's your plan to address affordable housing in New Mexico?
Affordable housing, I think what needs to happen right now is I think that the state needs to give more incentives. I think that they need to do more incentive programs to be able to bring in the construction of housing. And that's part of the reason I told you I was running is, boost our economy, making sure that our citizens, if they want to purchase a home, that they can be able to purchase a home. The people that are renting, rents skyrocketed here in a while, in trying to help them. I think the state needs to come in and provide more incentives. And when you provide more incentives and houses get built, that also helps our construction companies. That helps our economy, because when you do incentives, it's sort of like starting a business. When you put money into your business, you're looking for a return to come in. I think once you incentivize some of these programs to build houses and to make houses affordable, not only does it create the jobs for the people and the money goes back into the economy, and I think that's what needs to be looked at a little bit more, is how do we incentivize, how do we work with the contractors as the state of New Mexico to make sure that they can be able to go in there, do that with incentives and help the people of New Mexico and rural areas especially.
Thank you very much. We'll move on to our next question.
What reforms would you support to improve New Mexico's educational ranking?
I think we need to put a little bit more emphasis on number one, and our governor and our legislators have done a great job in what they're doing right now. But I think what needs to happen is not only does it need to start with early childhood, it also needs to go into the grade levels. I think that we actually need to get more into the junior high level to give them more VOTEC, more career technical training experience to get them to that. After school programs, I think that's a real big key is you have some communities, especially up north, that have great after school programs that give them not only what they need to learn to bring our current numbers up in our education, but it also gives them the incentive to actually start learning and looking at things that they want to do with their life. So I think it just from A to Z, from childhood to up to the end of high school, but it also needs to continue into our universities, supporting our universities, making sure that we have career technical education ready for them if they want to go that route.
Our next question, if elected, what steps would you take to address healthcare challenges in New Mexico?
I think that healthcare, number one, prescription drugs, it's expensive. And I'm not just talking about one certain category of our seniors. It's for everybody. Healthcare is really expensive. I think right now what we're running into the problem is also recruiting providers into rural areas of New Mexico. I think we need to get in there and work with them and bring them into our communities to provide the support. I think what really gets me is, and I call it a social injustice. I think that healthcare should be the same for everyone, regardless of what your stature is and whether you're low income or you make a decision. I think that healthcare should be a basic right of responsibility. And I think that in Santa Fe, I would advocate that it doesn't matter who you are or what your stature is or what your income is, that you get the best services possible for your health, and that the cost, and the legislator's done a great job so far with some of these programs, but I think it needs to continue further to put more money into helping our citizens get the best health care that they can. And I will look at that.
Thank you.
How can the legislature address water issues in an increasingly arid state?
How can they increase water issues.
How do we address the water issues?
Well, and to me, I think first, and one of the things that comes to mind right now is that, we need to, there's a couple of things we need. Right now, I think what we need to map our aquifers before we get into any trouble because of climate change and things happening, water evaporating. We can't sit back and just wait for while the monsoons are coming soon and all that. I think we need to map our aquifers in case we do get in trouble. We're not behind trying to figure out where we're going to get our next water. I think that there's things also that need to be done is our stormwater. I think that we have a lot of engineers, very intelligent people. How do we capture that more effectively, and how do we use that to help protect our water? The other thing that I've been looking at, and I haven't gotten into the specific laws or anything, is but a lot of our laws are outdated when it comes either to climate, to protecting our waters, to protecting our wetlands. I think that we now in modern times have to come back, review those laws, and update those laws to help protect all that, and come up with innovative ways to, like I said, to use stormwater to help supplement this, to look at stronger ways.
All right, that is our time. We're going to move on to our next question. What is your plan to improve public transportation?
Public transportation? Well, I think that we need to start working with our federal government. I'm a commissioner there in Grant County. We have a federal grant where we have public transportation. But I think what needs to happen is because we are under certain rules to where there's only certain areas that they can write, or mapping, or and I'm losing my what routes. The only certain routes can be used and utilized when we report to the federal government. I think that, to me, that's a little bit of a heartbreak. I think it needs to be expanded. I think it not only the route, but I think that the federal government needs to look at what works for each community. If representing this Senate District 28, you have Deming, Hidalgo, and Grant County. You have to look at what's the needs that are needed in each one of those counties or each one of those communities, because not each community has the same needs. And I think that hopefully working with our federal, our congressmen and all that, relaxing some of those laws to be able to do a little bit more as far as taking some of our seniors to medical appointments, even to get their hair done, social events, anything like that, because part of our well-being is also the social piece of it. So I think those rules and laws need to be relaxed more, and I think the state of New Mexico needs to come in and provide more money for that.
Okay, thank you.
What changes, if any, need to be made in the tax structure of the state?
What changes, if any, need to be? I think that our governor has done a great job lately with the structure that they have done so far in trying to decrease some of our gross receipts tax to be able to help our citizens in New Mexico. And I fully support that. I think that needs to continue, and we need to look at those areas and continue supporting our people with that.
Okay, we're going to move on to the next question. What would you propose to diversify New Mexico's economy and promote sustainable economic growth?
Well, I think that the biggest thing, and it's going back, I'm a strong advocate when you look at outdoor recreation. I mean, that right there is, you have so many things, and it's so diverse. Not only do you have your hunting, your fishing, your photography, your being out in the mountains. I live right next to the Gila Wilderness. It's a beautiful area, bringing in those people. We have beautiful rivers that are there that we need to continue to protect for our citizens. But, outdoor economics is so diverse. You're starting to look at, other things, pickleball, softball, bringing in people to do that. I think that how we can continue to build our economy also is sort of like what I'm talking right now. A lot of our people don't have the vocational and technical areas where they can come in and work with their hands. I think by building on that and providing them those resources, that also helps our economy, because it brings people more into the workforce and into the work areas to be able to do the other things that we've talked about.
In what ways should the state legislature be addressing the child welfare system to create a better outcome for foster children here in New Mexico?
Again, I think that laws need to be revamped in that area. You know, a lot of the things that we have deficiencies in are staffing and budgets. You know, that's one of our most precious things is our kids in our foster kids. I think that there has to be more training of our foster parents, and I appreciate that they've stepped forward to do this, but there has to be more education in our foster system. I think the funding there for our foster kids need to be sufficient enough to do what needs to be done with their foster care. You know, you can't look at it, it's those poor kids, it's not their fault, but I think as a state and in government, we have to do the most that we can to be able to provide more incentives for foster parents. I think we need to also look at better backgrounds for our foster care providers, and we need to get in there and support them as much as we can, because with that, those children not only need that support with their foster families, but they also need the support of our school systems and our educational systems, not to say put a label on them, but to help them get through the experiences that they've been through.
All right, the next question, what's your plan to address the growing rates of food insecurity in our state?
Well, I think right now what's been happening is because unfortunately, part of the food insecurity is just the way the prices of groceries have gone up. You know, during President Trump's administration, I think the deficit went up to, I believe, $8.4 trillion. You know, then what ended up happening too is that, you know, COVID and the price gouging of these large corporations. You know, food insecurity is not just people that don't have food, but a lot of people are starting to go that way because of what just happened. I think we need to take on those big corporate companies to bring their prices back down to a level that needs where it needs to be, so we can all be able to afford groceries. But you know, on the other side of that, we really need to support our farmers in bringing in, you know, with our farms and our systems to bring in healthy foods into our schools. We need to probably supplement our school budgets to bring in better foods into our schools, healthier foods into our schools. And we need to look at our communities and talk to the community leaders to ask them where they think they're failing, so the state can provide incentives to assist with all that. Not only all these other support systems, but go in there with our food insecurities, make sure that people that have kids and sending them to school get that, you know, more incentive.
Okay, we're moving on to our final question.
Okay.
What actions do you feel state legislators can take to address climate change?
Climate change, I think that our state legislators, and especially our governor, they're headed in the right direction. But I think what needs to happen is our federal government needs to help us a little bit more and help the state of New Mexico a little bit more. You know, where I'm seeing is the infrastructure, especially in rural communities. You know, and as a commissioner, I've seen this, is yes, we want to try to go into into the electric vehicles, but you know, I'll give you, Grant County doesn't have that infrastructure that's needed to get into those areas. I think by building first our infrastructures, that gives the public and the people an option to do that. You know, I think that we need to support, and this is why I talk a little bit about vocational centers or career technical education centers, is, you know, we have our wind farms, we have our solar, you know, geothermal. I think we need to start training more people in those areas, especially for the rural communities, because right now, if we see climate change, you walk out, you feel it. It doesn't have to be science telling us. You see the wildfires, you see the drought. Why is the water evaporating the way it is? Our forest fires are flooding. We need to look at all that, and I think we need to give those options, and I think we need to start utilizing more of the things that we have, like I had mentioned.
All right, that concludes our New Mexico Senate District 28 Candidate Forum. We want to thank our Democratic candidate, Chris Ponce, for joining us, and our co-moderator, Elisa Sanchez, with the League of Women Voters of Southern New Mexico. A reminder, you can stay updated with local election coverage by visiting the KRWG News Election Center at our website, krwg.org. I'm Anthony Moreno. Thank you for joining us. Election Day is Tuesday, November 5th.